I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're diving into a gripping tale of love, betrayal, and dark family secrets. We're talking to one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite guests. His name is Karl Berger, and he has penned a powerful book. It is called Clipperton. It follows Frank Herman on a dangerous journey to uncover the truth about his father's past, one that leads to a remote island, a deadly storm, and shocking revelations. It is packed with intrigue, forbidden romance, and the haunting legacy of history. Clipperton is a must-read for fans of thrilling historical fiction. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us once again here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Bookside Press for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below the interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Karl, thank you so much for joining us once again here today on Spotlight.
Thanks for having me. Okay, so we talk about Clipperton, which was actually my first novel. It was written more than 20 years ago. And the trigger was when I was with my son, who was about 8 years old at that time, looked at the globe. And we looked at these huge areas on the globe where there's nothing. And there was a little island 600 miles east of the coast, west of the coast, of the Pacific coast of Mexico. It was French. Why is the island French? Totally weird. So from that moment on, I got interested in that island. I thought there would be no history. There was a very tragic history. So this island was on my mind. Then I wanted to write a book, and I said, well, why not? An island is a wonderful thing. Can you put maybe some tragedy on it? Some people get stranded there, something in that category. And so I kind of built up a story of a young man who was actually the son of a Nazi. Now, his father was very active during the Nazi regime, actually was flying high-end Nazi officials. That's not known at the beginning of the... And the interesting thing is he marries a secretary, a female, that works for the American occupying forces in Germany. So he's now 11 years old. His father makes suicide. Something is not quite right in that family. And then he comes to the United States. He lives with his uncle. He meets Jim, who is superior in any way. He's a great old woman. He's outgoing. And these two find some documents in Germany, in Munich, that point to that island and his father. So they go to this island and everything goes wrong. Drug dealers, shooting. And Frank, on the long run, he is going to be the savior. He kind of marries himself and he finds documents that explain what his father was all about. On that island, the last place in the world. So I kind of constructed that story and it kind of grew on me. And it's an adventure story, but the background is the Holocaust. And the background is my generation of, young people at that time that had to deal with their father's very fuzzy, not well talked about past. And the suspicions we had.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, playing a big role in your novel is the tragic aspects of German history. You wanted to flush those out. You wanted to explore those in this book, right?
Yes. They come at the very end, when he really, at the very end, he finds documents that his father left on that island. And these documents show clearly that he was flying. For example, the people that he was really very active. Also, he knew about Auschwitz. He knew about all these things. And he was active after the war, also with the Nazis. He could not just get rid of that ideology. And I want the reader to begin to think about if the problems with the character of Frank have something to do with all this insecurity and the shame and all these things that built up after the war in that generation. Here we have basically Frank and Jim. And Frank is kind of shy. He is a hollow man. He looks upon himself as not as a very interesting person. Jim is totally different.
Mm.
So he is now on with Jim, who is superior to him in any way, also a good wrestler, superior in any way, and just one woman with them. So we have two men, one woman. They both are in love with that woman. So
Mm.
they are now on that island. So there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
story, yeah, fighting, and then drug dealers get into the game, and so
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the real Clipperton Island and why you chose it as a setting?
on. The Clipperton Island was detected by a Frenchman, so it's French, and but it is close to Mexico. The Mexicans basically occupied it, and there were these excrements of the birds. These is nitrates, and they needed these nitrates for making war, saltpeter. So around 1900, they couldn't get it out of the air. They had to get it from these islands. It's basically the excrements of the birds. And so it had some value in terms of economy. So they went there, and every half a year, there was maybe stationed maybe 40 people. They worked there. And a boat came twice a year to load these guano, I think it's called guano,
Hmm.
and bring it back to Mexico. And Mexico went through a change of government. And the new
Hmm.
government forgot about the garrison. They simply forgot about it. And what happened is that it's very crazy. The women survived, but they were terrorized by one man, Alvarez. And
Hmm.
this is well documented. And that is very fascinating story. It's in the book. It's
Yeah.
brought up. Yeah,
Yeah. Another intriguing aspect of your book is the love triangle between Frank, Lila, and Jim. It adds some
absolutely.
complexity to the story. Tell us about that.
Well, what happened is Jim and Frank, they got to know two sisters, French. They were in Maine, French, and they fell in love with both of them. But actually, Frank loved actually Lila more, but he gave up and kind of married the one that he really didn't want to. And then there was a flying accident. He lost her.
Mm.
He flew his plane into the Long Island Sound. He drowned. He did not. So there's a tragedy. Now we have two men that want to both that woman,
Mm.
and they go on this lonely island, and that doesn't go well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, they're drug dealers in this
Yes, uh,
story as well. Tell us
but,
about that.
but Jim was involved in South America,
Mm.
and he could not resist the money because he was a good pilot, and he flew wooden planes that don't show up on radar,
Mm.
and these drug dealers needed these wooden planes, and Jim flew them. And when Jim realized that Frank will be alone with Lila on the island, he
Mm.
panicked. My
Mm.
God, I have to get there. So we quit the drug dealers, and you never quit a drug dealer job.
Yeah,
You never quit it. That's to
yeah,
that. They chased him. They
yeah,
got hold of it. That they were not allowed. They chased him,
yeah,
and Frank basically saves him.
exactly. Also,
So
I was going to say the uncovering Frank's father's past is a
mhm,
large part of the book. It really impacts Frank. Tell us about
right.
that part of the story.
Well, there are hints already at the beginning of the novel where I inform the reader that father was a Nazi, what's going on. But Frank doesn't know it. Frank
Mm.
suspects it, and but he doesn't 100% know it.
Mm.
And there is this feeling of something is wrong in the family that's building up on him.
Mm.
And then there's this writer that I admire very much who is not with us anymore. Actually, his name is Sebald. He is a German. He is from my generation. He's born 3 years later.
Mhm.
And what he did, he's also went to England. No, I went to America. And he wrote several books that have a kind of a melancholy. He went in a different way. He was dealing with that problem of his generation by writing that a melancholy in the history. There's a sadness to history. And he hit it right. And he got well known.
Mm.
W.J. Sebald is his name. And I didn't know of him at the very beginning of the writing, but he was also a guiding light for me that this is a legitimate topic. There are not that many German writers who really dig in on that.
Yeah.
He is one of them who got very well known.
Wonderful. Well, hopefully you'll become very well known as well because the book is wonderful.
Sure.
Have you envisioned this as a movie? Could you see Clipperton as a film?
Absolutely. It's crying for a movie. I mean, everything would fit together.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's got intrigue, romance, the backdrop of the Holocaust. I think it would be absolutely fascinating, without a doubt. The name of the book we've been exploring today is called Clipperton. It follows Frank Herman. There it is right there.
Right. Okay. And there is already a German translation. We have it translated already. It's being printed right now.
Wonderful. So it's available in English. It's available in German. Before we leave you today, anything else you'd like the folks at home to know about your book?
Well, yeah, okay. We're trying to reach German booksellers over in Munich. I'm born in Munich. And Munich does play a certain role in the book. So we're trying to get into the market in Munich, the booksellers, if they, here's somebody from Munich that deals with the problem. So that's what we're trying also to do.
Wonderful, wonderful. The name of the book is Clipperton. It follows Frank Herman on a dangerous journey to uncover the truth about his father's past, one that leads to a remote island, a deadly storm, and shocking revelations that is packed with intrigue, forbidden romance, and the haunting legacy of history. Clipperton is a must-read for fans of thrilling historical fiction. And Hollywood, if you're listening, let's turn this into a film.
Yes.
Karl, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate your time, your wit, your wisdom, and your insight. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.